Jesus,
jobs,
and food.
Hey, it's Lance with True Belize. Well, we've made it to Friday. Boy, you're going to have to hold on to your hat this week. The week did not go the way we planned. Started off with a phone call asking Rafi and I to come to his brother John's house. If you remember, John played a crucial role in the authentic Mayan tamale feed that we had. He was teaching others, his sons and nephews, how to prepare the fire. He had told stories about his life and childhood and growing up here on this exact farm. Well, Rafi and I were able to make it to John's house right as he took his last breath. We ended up doing things for the family and getting things prepared for a funeral, which we ended up attending on Tuesday. At the same time all of this was happening with Rafi's brother John, Miguel down in Stand Creek, he had a brother that was found unconscious on the side of the road. He was summoned to the hospital to identify his brother, and at that point his brother was in a coma. He remained that way for 2 days. Later in the week, I believe it was Wednesday, he regained consciousness and then was taken up to Belmopan to have an MRI done, and subsequently he was released and taken back at the end of the week, taken back to Miguel's house where they could help nurse him back to health and make sure that he was all right. Miguel, his 3 sons, and 2 other farmers that had been preparing land for planting corn and beans for a project that we've got going on down in Stand Creek, they surprisingly were able to finish burning everything. Then they were able to go ahead and get a small portion of the corn planted as well as the beans. In Miguel's travels, he was able to pick up more corn so that they could go ahead and plant the remaining land. In total, we're hoping to be able to plant roughly 15 acres down in Stand Creek. Also, during this week, Jorge, which is the caretaker of the farm that we stay at here in Belize, he had a friend that he's been helping since mid-December, roughly around the 15th. This lady's name is Adita. She was changing a light from a conventional light to a solar light back in December and ended up falling off of a ladder. And in the midst of that fall, she somehow ended up in between a bed and a basket, a chair. There was a whole lot going on. And ultimately she ended up breaking her arm quite extensively, to the point where she has 3 pins in her arm. Things had been going along very well. She's been healing well, but just this past week, her fingers and hand had gone numb, which obviously is alarming to her and to the doctors. So she is in the process, or was in the process, of trying to get an MRI scheduled for her hand, which we can report that thankfully she does have that scheduled. It'll take place this coming Wednesday, Lord willing. And really what we're asking for here is your prayers for the doctors to be able to figure out what's wrong and what's causing the numbness, as well as your support. Now, in the midst of all of this, we got a phone call from Kenny, the transport driver who is bringing the van and our trailer down to Belize from Mississippi. He was scheduled to come at the 25th of January, but he was able to leave Monday. He made it to Memphis safely. He picked up the van, made it to the Mexican border, where we kind of ran into a little bit of problems. We had packed the van quite extensively. We literally put the kitchen sink in the van for this move. When he got there, the border agents that helped him cross and do his documentation informed him that he was going to have to unload the van, video everything, and then reload the van. Well, he was able to get that done. He crossed over into Mexico, I believe it was Wednesday midday, and to God be the glory, he made it safely to the Belize border on Saturday, roughly midday. It was quite a journey for him. I believe he drove through the night at least one night. It was one of the quicker trips that he's made. It's our hope and prayer that on Monday, when we shoot our expectations for next week, we'll be able to tell you that the van has actually made it here safely to the farm. Currently it's sitting in Mexico waiting for the weekend to be over to where it can cross over. We were able to do a little bit of work in the garden. We were able to get some of the stuff that we had planned for Monday done. We finished off the week with being able to host approximately 10 kids here at a youth event where we were able to have some nice food, fellowshipped, and played some amazing games. The kids had a great time. We ended up talking about Noah's wife and her role in that whole story. Ultimately, it was an amazing week. Not at all what we had planned, but as always, the Lord's plans are much better than ours. I would ask all of you to please remember John and John's family, Miguel, Miguel's brother, Pedro, and that whole family, as well as Adita and the doctors that are going to be working on her. So, if you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to tune in on Monday when we'll release a video of our expectations of where we think the Lord is leading us and what we think we're going to try to get accomplished. And then, as always, if you enjoy this video, please share the word.